Hey everybody, welcome to PC Perspective. I'm Ryan Shrout, joined by some friends from AMD who are going to talk to us about a significant, really significant actually, update to Radeon software. Scott and Adrian are with me. Welcome guys. Thanks for venturing all the way out to the no man's land of Kentucky.
You bet.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So there's already been an announcement of what this new version is going to be called, but there's actually a significant set of features that you guys have gone through and added this time around that I think maybe more so than any other previous year we're going to have some excitement around. So let's start walking through kind of what the mindset was and what the goals were for this particular release.
Sure. Okay. So this is the Adrenalin Edition, and just to set this stage here, that's our shade of red. We had crimson before.
Right. When you first told me it, I said, well, man, you went away from the color of red. Like, actually.
Yeah. So like the Adrenalin Rose. This is a shade, and that's why there's not an E on the end for those of you who are like OCD about the spelling. Like that's
Adrenalin,
right.
That's fair. That's good to know.
That's the deal. And I'd say that there are kind of two themes, maybe a few themes of the update. One of them is refinement and expansion of existing features, and there's a lot of that. And then we have some significant new features as well that sort of extend and expand the way that you can use Radeon settings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Radeon Software Adrenalin Edition. Obviously, this is our fourth major update now.
Yeah.
Catalyst Omega, Crimson ReLive, and now Adrenalin Edition.
Yeah, and so we got several key features that are expanded and updated.
Right.
One of the key ones is the Radeon WattMan. As you know, this is the tweaking overclocking tool that we have. Mm-hmm. There are lots of knobs that you can turn and sliders you can set.
Really good stuff in it. I love the graphic capability and being able to see stuff happen in real time.
Yeah, so one of the things about WattMan, though, is that there is a lot of complexity there. Mm-hmm. And what we've been hearing from users is they really wanted a way to retain the settings once they tweaked and tuned everything, right? And so what we've done in this release is we've added the ability to save. After you've got everything tweaked for WattMan, you can save a profile to disk that contains all the WattMan settings.
So when you say save to disk, you're just saving it as a file that you can then reload later if you want to, send to other people.
Right, so we expect people will share these online. They'll say, hey, I've got this great tune for my Vega card or whatever, and so you can actually then load up somebody else's to see if it works on your card.
Any potential pitfalls to that? If somebody gives me a profile I load up and is it just going to crash and basically?
It's still overclocking. In some cases, it's overclocking or undervolting or whatever it is.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, then sometimes you're going to compromise stability. But I do expect that there will be some profiles that are sort of sweet spot that people will be able to share.
Yeah.
You can imagine.
Very cool.
That would be really nice.
Very good.
Another capability that we have had in recent drivers is Radeon Chill, which is a pretty cool feature because it saves power. The idea is to save a lot of power without compromising the gaming experience. Mm-hmm. And the way that it does that is it looks at the inputs that you're giving to the game and decides based on those whether there's a lot of motion on the screen or not. The theory basically is, okay, if there's not a lot of input, we're probably sitting still and the camera's not moving a lot. And if we're doing a lot of this or this with the mouse, then probably there is. And so it will cap your frame rate dynamically depending on motion or non-motion, input or non-input.
Basically implying that if there's not a lot of motion, you don't need a lot of frames of animation to make it look like a good image.
Right.
So then you lower power on the GPU based on that. Okay.
And you can tweak and tune Chill to say, okay, this is the non-motion cap I want or the motion cap I want. So it's already smart and dynamic.
You can set your experience basically.
Right. But Chill has, prior to this, been sort of profiled on a per game basis and only enabled on some games. We now have a general profile that enables it across most games. So basically, Chill should just work. Right.
So can you enable this per game still, or
yes, there are per game settings in the driver.
Okay.
But you can expect just that it will be available across a broad range.
Yeah. So previously we had a whitelist. Now it's going to be available on pretty much everything that you have in your library.
Okay.
Other cool thing here, I don't know if you saw it, but this is the #2 requested feature by end users.
Right. That was something when you guys were here last time. We talked about a lot is responding to user feedback and kind of adapting what your goals were, what your development goals were based on user input.
Yeah, so that's a big part of what we're doing, and you're going to see a couple more of these in the deck. And actually, the last one was also #3.
Okay.
So we've got #3 and #2. I think you can probably guess that we're going to have #1 in a bit.
a question on this: when you go into a Radeon Chill as a general profile type thing, would I expect it to be slightly less effective in games when you're not profiling them on a per game basis? Like, am I going to see less of an advantage from chill?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think it's just a question of making sure that we mapped out the different game genres and the types of input that you're likely to get. It's also the case that we can profile games still if we want to say we need to tweak and tune this one.
So if game X is coming out and you just happen to realize that you can do a lot more to profile it specifically for chill to get even more of an advantage
because
of the capabilities.
Different games and genres have different sort of input to motion relationships, and so we can tweak and tune that. But this is just about making sure that it's available across lots of games, and then you do get I can turn it off, I can use the hotkey to turn it on in the game, I can set my caps configurable in the game. Okay. In fact, more configurable in the game than ever for reasons that we're going to be getting into.
Exactly.
So, and so here's a look, just so people can understand. Radeon Chill is about trying to save power without compromise the gaming experience. And you can see right here some examples from our labs of the type of power savings that you can expect. And as an example, for instance, CSGO. This is one of these things that that game runs on relatively low-end hardware pretty well. So you run it on a high-end card, you're getting really high frame rates, and maybe beyond what your monitor can do. And it may not, some people may not consider that necessary, right? And so you can turn on chill and get a lot of power savings and still get the frame rates that you need.
Okay, good.
So now the #1 requested user feature.
Yeah.
So Enhanced Sync is a feature that we introduced with Vega around that time frame with our software update then. That is an alternate VSync mode that is about lower latency and reducing motion jutters.
Give me a quick overview of Enhanced Sync. This is above your maximum refresh rate and below some other threshold, it changes the behavior of the state of VSync, right?
Yeah, and it's complicated because it does one thing when your frame rate is high and another when your frame rate is low.
Yeah.
But the idea is to give you the best combination so that you get like the best behavior. Okay. And so when your frame rate is really high, what Enhanced Sync does that's different is it lets the game, like normally VSync, if you've got a 60 hertz display, you're going to limit the frame rate to 60 FPS. And with Enhanced Sync, it'll go ahead and let the game run as fast as the game wants to run, and then it will show the most recently completed frame on each display update interval. So you're actually discarding some frames, but what you get out of that is your click-to-response latency is lower because you're showing fresh frames on every interval. Right? And it's pretty cool. Like, it really does work. Yeah. The other side of that is, say that your frame rate starts to get low. You get what we call display quantization when you go well below the refresh rate of the display and you start to feel that stutter, judder type experience. So in that particular case, then we'll start tearing.
Okay.
Right? And the tearing is an image quality compromise, but it's there so that you don't have as much of that motion jutter effect. So you're getting the information to the display as fast as you can.
Very cool feature, very cool addition.
And it works in concert with FreeSync if you have a FreeSync display. Sure. So above the peak FreeSync refresh rate, it does its behavior up there. Right. And then below, depending, if you have LFC, then LFC takes care of it. That's better FreeSync displays have this low frame rate compensation. Yep. That's the best thing. But yeah, so it's a nice combination of the two. The thing is, when we introduced Enhanced Sync, it was for Polaris and Vega cards. And so a very highly requested feature was to expand this to all of our Radeon GCM-based products, which is what we've done. Yep. And we've also expanded it. It's kind of across the ecosystem. So Vulkan games, notebook products, multi-GPU, and Eyefinity multi-display configs can all support Enhanced Sync now.
Very cool. Is there more complication with the multi-GPU side of things? Because now you've got...
There's always more complication with the multi-GPU side of things.
Rendering each frame, right? So you still got to determine which one... I guess it's probably sending the extra frame over to the primary card.
Right. The master card is really controlling what happens with the display stuff.
Got it.
So yeah.
Got it. Okay. Very cool.
So another feature is Radeon ReLive.
So I'm going to grab this. ReLive, if you're not familiar with it, is our capture, stream, share software. So it lets you do the cool things like instant replay or streaming to Twitch or YouTube. Right. Or maybe you're just doing some recording of your desktop for a tutorial video or something. We actually have a lot of updates for Radeon ReLive. We've got 10 big ones. So this is going to take a bit. So to start off, we have integrated chat. So integrated chat is very important for especially streamers to get their guys engaged with them, right? And engagement is obviously #1 as far as streamers are concerned. So integrated chat is actually going to let you visually see the chat that's going on your screen when you put it out.
So basically, this is something that's an overlay over your game.
It's an overlay that's going to come in the output of your stream. So if you're streaming to Twitch, your users will see your chat overlay.
Got it. Okay.
And all of the kappas and all of the other stuff that they're putting out. So we do have the emoticon support too, which is cool. Next up is chroma key support, or really what we're talking about is camera transparency support. So you're familiar with green screens. You have one in here. I see it.
Yep.
Very cool feature. It's starting to get very prominent for streamers.
Yeah.
I think it's all about, again, immersiveness in your stream. You kind of feel like you're more in the game.
Yeah.
A lot of guys use it just to have themselves silhouetted over their game and not
save some screen real estate for the actual gameplay still. Yeah.
And then nobody's looking at your bedroom and behind you while you're streaming. Third, Affinity support. So we're going to support Affinity for ReLive. So if you want to capture in, a 3x1 or something with those extended resolutions, you're going to be able to do that.
Not for streaming. We talked about this before, right?
For capturing,
but for capture recording, that's pretty cool. But I can't broadcast out my 5x1 display.
It does depend on what is supported by where you're streaming to. So YouTube or Twitch might have different stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. Vulkan support. Yep. So ReLive is going to support Vulkan now. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12 for DX, and now Vulkan's added.
Very cool.
So we're expecting more and more games are going to start supporting Vulkan. So we thought that was obvious. And again, as Scott said, this is something that's been kind of prominent through the deck, really extending all of those features to support everything.
Yeah.
Trim videos. So this one is really cool. I like this one a lot, actually, so I might go off a little bit here. So trimming videos is something that pretty much everybody does if you're sharing clips, right? You maybe recorded 2 minutes, but there was only 10 or 15 seconds there where you did something really awesome. So we added the...
it's pretty typical.
Pretty typical. Or for me, maybe it's like 1 or 2 seconds if I'm lucky, right? But trimming videos is basically going to let you do this in Radeon software now, or really specifically Radeon settings. I'm going to talk about the gallery when we get there. But yeah, you're going to be able to trim now directly in Radeon software. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Further optimized. So this is something we talked about last time I was here as well. We're always striving to improve the ReLive experience, and we do that by reducing overhead as much as possible. So for this update, we've significantly reduced overhead again. We're looking at very, very minimal impact to FPS while you're gaming with ReLive enabled, which is exactly what you want for this kind of feature, because it's the kind of feature you want enabled all the time, so you're always able to grab those moments. Or if you're doing streaming, obviously you need it supported. So very significant reduction there in this driver release. Number 7, separate audio tracks. So for the audio files out there, or the people who are doing a lot of extra work with their mixing, maybe, you're going to have separate tracks now. So you'll have your game sound or your mic sound separated. You can mix those together however you want. Maybe you want to make yourself sound like Darth Vader or something. I don't know.
Can you do that while you're live streaming, or is it only in the record?
It's for the recording.
So you get 2 separate audio files at the end of the recording.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
So this is an extra option. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but for people who are into that, they can actually go and enable this for their recordings.
All right.
Next up is, I can't read it. Region capture. Number 8, region capture. So this is a great new feature, especially for some specific games. So I'll give you an example. If you're streaming Hearthstone, a lot of people play Hearthstone in windowed mode. So you're actually going to be able to go into ReLive now and do a windowed capture or a region capture for those games if you're doing them in a windowed mode. So that's really cool. And we're going to talk about how we enable that in a little bit with kind of the new secret sauce that we're going to have with Radeon Adrenalin Edition. Number 9, Stage 10 support. So Stage 10 is this really cool browser-based production-level streaming service that's going to be on the web and available for Radeon ReLive users. You're going to be able to connect through Radeon ReLive and stream to Stage 10. And Stage 10 is going to let you do all of these really cool production level things on their web browser with different sources.
And Stage 10 was a new thing to me that's introduced here, and it's a new thing in general, I guess.
Yes.
But it seems like it looked really neat as a consumer-centric based kind of video mixing tool that I thought would be, I actually really want to try it out. Regardless of the Radeon integration with it, I think it would be interesting to really see how that works and how you guys
definitely would recommend people who are really into streaming and want to kind of bring it to the next level to check them out. Yeah. And number 10, the gallery. So this is actually a really big update for Radeon settings in ReLive. We're going to have a brand new tab in Radeon settings. It's going to be the Connect tab, and in there is going to be a gallery. And what the gallery is going to let you do is it's going to let you really manage all of your ReLive videos. So you're going to be able to have a one-stop shop to do all those things like trimming, like I said. You're going to be able to upload to multiple sites from there. So if you have one video and you want to upload it to maybe your YouTube and your Twitch, you're going to be able to do that. We have a bunch of other things that we support as well, Facebook, Twitter, etc., and a bunch of new websites in China that are very popular that we're going to be supporting with this release as well.
That's a lot of new stuff.
A lot of new stuff with ReLive, yeah.
Very cool. All right.
So, you know, we've been kind of hinting at something bigger and better here that's coming. I think Scott did it, I did it. You know, when we sat down for our, meetings for Adrenalin this year, way earlier in the year, we kind of had this thought about, how can we improve the gaming experience? How can we keep gamers in the game without breaking that? And we actually talked about this kind of before we went on, where, I think the worst thing as a gamer is when you have to alt-tab out of your game to change something.
Anytime you have to exit the game to change a setting, or alt-tab out or anything.
Or alt F4 to go change something and come back in. That's the worst feeling, right? So that was kind of something we wanted to wrap our head around with this release, and how can we solve that? So what we came with was, we want to bring Radeon software into the game. And we're going to do that by this brand new feature called the Radeon Overlay. So the Radeon Overlay is going to give you control of a bunch of great Radeon software features in-game. You're going to be able to toggle it very easily with Alt-R, so just a quick shortcut. And you're going to be able to configure all of these things in your game while you're gaming without having to do things like Alt-Tab anymore.
Now, to be clear, it's not every Radeon software setting.
It is not every Radeon software setting. We wanted to have kind of a lean experience. We wanted things that make sense to be configured during your gaming experience. Okay. Things that we have them up here. Things like chill. That's the type of thing where you probably want to minorly tweak it as you're going, as you're gaming. FRTC, FreeSync. So we have a bunch of different stuff here. We also have 2 brand new features in the overlay, and you see them up there. Radeon. We have monitoring and recording and system info. So this is a brand new feature.
So in case, like as we show the slide, we'll show a demo here in a second. If it's not clear, like what's happening is while you're playing the game, you hit a shortcut, Alt-R in this case, and it brings up an overlay on the right-hand side of the screen with these menu options here. It might look like this is something you're just presenting for a slide deck,
but
it's not, right?
Yeah,
this is what
exactly what it looks like.
And then this information with your FPS window, utilization clocks, all that type of stuff is included on the screen, optionally, obviously.
Optionally,
So this all happens in-game. You don't have to exit, Alt-Tab, you don't have to be in windowed mode. This will work on exclusive full screen, all that stuff, right?
Exclusive full screen, borderless full screen,
Okay.
So a little bit more about the performance monitoring stuff. We have all of the great stuff that you just said. So, the GPU utilization, FPS, fan speed, all of that type of stuff is in there.
Performance logging.
We have performance logging in this. So if you're very enthusiast and you want to record to a CSV file, it's very easy.
Everybody loves CSV files.
Everybody
loves CSV files.
Support for all of the major APIs, DX9, 10, 11, 12, and Vulkan.
That's awesome.
So, the one-stop shop, and I know that I do a lot of this, performance monitoring type stuff, and that's been a kind of a problem in the recent with, different apps having to do different things with them. So it's good to kind of have a one-stop shop for that. For sure. So I guess we can do a demo of this. We've got Prey running in the background here, so hopefully it hasn't crashed.
Oh, no, there we go.
Are we good? I think we're good
You got a mouse over there.
I do have a mouse over here. I did forget that. So we are in Prey right now.
Play.
In-game, we're in-game. And we're going to open the overlay and, quick snap open.
There you go.
We can do all of the stuff we want to do with it.
Even honestly, even just that is like a compelling thing for me. Like, oh my God, you just hit this thing and it shows up and it didn't crash the game. You don't have to worry about like, oh, it took me, you see the flash of coming out of full screen mode or anything like that. Like this all is happening.
Yeah, on the fly, quick, easy to use. So I'll turn on the performance metrics here. You can set where you want to put it. I threw it into the top left there.
There you go.
Yeah, right on your screen.
You see our frame rate at 56, GPU fully utilized, over 1,000.
Do performance logging. The great thing about this as well is if you only want something like FPS, you can just turn on FPS. You don't have to have all of the stuff here.
Oh, sure.
If you're only interested in fan speed or power, you can just turn those on by themselves.
Okay.
And really choose what you want for this.
One thing we talked about before, I'll just bring it up here so everybody else has it. The GPU power listed here. What is unique about that? What's important to note?
Oh, well, we measure power with the thing called ASIC package power. right? So like with Vega, it will include memory, right? So it's not always directly comparable to what you might see from competitors.
So this machine that we're running this on is a Ryzen 7 RX 580.
Yep. That's right.
So what we're seeing here is just GPU. It does not include memory in this case. But if you were running this on a Vega system, it would include the memory. Just people out there will be wondering what these numbers are actually reporting and stuff. So yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of inside baseball for reviewers, but
sure.
I want to talk about chill too, because the chill is a great feature where you can save power, and the thing is, you really need to know how it's going to impact the game in order to be comfortable turning it on and tweaking it. And not only can you turn it on and off like with the hotkey like we've done before, but now you can set your motion and non-motion caps, chill, min, and max. While you're playing and see how it affects the game. You even have the frame rate counter that you can bring up and see how the frame rate is changing as you play, and then see, okay, does this feel different, right? And I think ideally what you can do, I've been able to do this, is I can tune it up so the power consumption is lower on the video card, maybe the fan spins down a little bit, but the gaming experience is the same. And not having to jump in and out of a settings control panel over and over to refine that is really a nice thing.
Yeah.
That's the overlay. So
here's a request I'm going to have for the overlay for the next iteration.
Sure.
Can we get WattMan in there?
May or may not be coming.
Because that's another thing people would love to be able to do in real time, is adjust your clock speeds and stuff. Can you downclock more? Can you upclock more?
I think that the thought behind it is going to continue from us. You know, keeping you immersed in your game, but still giving you those kind of configuration options. And you're going to see that in the next stuff we're going to talk about, because we're not done yet, by the way, Ryan. We got one more thing coming. But yeah, that's definitely the thought pattern that we're going with. So I think you're going to see more and more stuff.
I think that's really cool. That like being able to access these features more conveniently is the way to go, right? Like obviously add to that feature list, but make it simpler for the consumer to actually take advantage of it.
Agreed. Back to the slides here. So yeah, again, so kind of on that same process like we were just talking about. We have this great new Radeon overlay. Not going to break the experience anymore, but we want to go another step further. So you may be wondering, how can you do that? You've already got the overlay, which makes it pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, we figured it out. We're going to introduce this new mobile app. It's called AMD Link. It's going to have all these great new features. It's going to give you basically the power of Radeon settings in the palm of your hand. And everybody has a smartphone nowadays, so everybody's going to get this feature, right? It's supported on Google and App Store for iPhone. Very easy to connect to. There's a QR code. You just scan it off your desktop. I know you've got it there working in your hand.
Yeah.
Notifications.
So, I don't know what camera this will actually show up on, if it will show, but I mean, you get access to the monitoring information.
Yeah, we've got the performance metrics built into there, and actually that's a really cool feature as well. So if you have like a spare tablet at home, let's say, that you're not using, or you have a stand for your smartphone near your desk, you can just pop it in there, and you have kind of a second screen, if you will, to have all of these cool features on, just like the performance metrics, for example. You can do a lot of other cool stuff with it as well. You have ReLive controls, so you can take screenshots with it. You can stream, start recording.
You get a lot of functionality over time graphs, right? Of what things look like.
The performance metrics is really well done. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it.
If you just want a really, really like big number of the clock speed, you can get that too.
Yeah, if you're only interested in seeing like one stat, you can bring it up and get the big number of that as well. And then we have a couple of other small things in here, like the news feed for AMD, if you want to read about news or Twitter or what's going on there. And again, supports the major platforms, Android and iPhone.
And also you can access your gallery.
You can access your gallery.
You can see what's in the gallery list. You can look at the pictures, the videos. You can't watch the videos, but you get a thumbnail of the videos through that.
Yeah, you could take a video from your phone. You could start the video, record it, and then you'll see a thumbnail of the video, and the video will be stored on your PC.
I think this is pretty neat too. I'm curious to see what people figure out to do with this. Right? Is it something where they're going to have a stand there next to their machine? Is it something where they're just using it to spot check temperatures,
right?
Or something like that?
Or maybe you're sitting on your couch and you're running something on your PC and you want to check what's doing it.
Yeah, yeah. It's cool, and it does just work, right? And one of my questions earlier was like, is this going up to a server to be distributed out? But you say it's all happening through Wi-Fi.
It's all through your.
So I don't have to worry about
Wi-Fi.
you tracking what my RAM utilization is over time through this app.
No, this is all through your home Wi-Fi.
We don't want to know what your RAM utilization is.
Especially when you say it like that. That's true. Very cool. And so it's free.
Yep, free. It's going to be available on the app stores, like I said, Google Play. And
when this driver's available, it'll be
when the driver's
ready?
live, this will be live, yep.
Very cool.
So I think that's kind of all we have today. So we have kind of the big 6 things to love is what we wanted to say about Adrenalin Edition. So we have all the great stuff that Scott talked about, the updates to our core features, Radeon WattMan, Chill, ReLive, the updates to Enhanced Sync. And then we've got these kind of cool, really new, step forward features about keeping you in the game and keeping you immersed in the game, which is the new Radeon overlay and the AMD Link app.
This seems like I always hate saying something, a more substantial update than probably what I would have expected on the annual cadence, especially since you guys were out here mid-year. We talked about some of these, features, right? So, people ask for profiles, they ask for chill, they ask for enhanced sync improvements. You kind of guys all delivered on that. What else is there to do, right? Is it close up shop and move on? Software stuff is done?
Not at all. I mean, there are a lot of ideas that we have, and I'm always bugging him about, hey, we should do this. Like, have you thought about this?
We have
let's prototype that. No, I bug him a lot, but I can't tell you what, or I'd have to kill him. Yeah.
Well, that's fine. It's fair. We're not live streaming it, so it's being recorded, so it's not quite the same impact, I guess. Right? What else is there to touch on? Well, so I talked about things that I would like to see in the overlay, right? Maybe we talk about getting WattMan and those types of things in there as well. Would there be other features that come to the app? Could we add overclocking into the app as well? There's no reason why we couldn't do some of that stuff.
I would say the sky's the limit, right? I mean, we can think of whatever and then go in. Kind of scope it out and get it into a release. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to keep building on the core technologies. That's kind of been the theme, right? These are kind of coming in as core technologies now, the overlay and AMD Link, and I can only see us building on those in the future.
We had those conversations like, hey, you mean you have an overlay? Let's do this and this and this and this.
Right.
And you have an app, let's do this. And then it's just, okay, we've established a foundation here. This is the first generation. And you can imagine that there are things that we'd want to do with those things going forward. And then now we're having those conversations about which ones to do first and working on additional stuff.
And we're going to let people vote on them again too, so people will be able to.
That's true. That will have something that starts again after each new release. What do you want to see added on to this? So where do consumers go to? So we have to have their input on that.
We have a feedback page on Radeon.com. So Radeon.com/feedback. You can go there and you can vote on all of those features. And like you said, we update them every major release. So we do kind of 2 major releases a year right now. So you saw us about 6 months ago, I guess, for the mid-year update.
It's been so long.
And that's kind of our.
I can't keep track.
That's kind of our smaller update. The big update is always at the end of the year. That's why we're here today for this one. And we'll refresh those lists again, and people can go vote on them.
I'm excited. I'm excited to try it out. So I hope this all works well. I mean, overlay is supported across what GPUs? I guess I should get into that too. Just like
all GCN.
All GCN.
And everything in the driver today, basically.
Okay, that's really cool. I'm excited about that. So thank you guys for coming out and telling us about it and sharing with the readers and viewers about this type of stuff. So Radeon.com to find the driver today, I assume, and. Radeon.com for feedback and all that good stuff. Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Good luck. Thanks, everyone.